The year is 1991, right? So my mom has me, she's pregnant and whatnot. Boop! I come out the womb, okay? I'm ready to fight, ready to live life, get at this thing. Bow, bow, bow. And yeah, we moved around from Queens, then to Brooklyn for a little while. And my mom says, you know what, I've had enough of this New York City shit. I'm taking my children. At the time I must have been 5, my younger sister was 2. I'm taking my kids, I'm moving up to this place out of the city called Yonkers, right at the southern tip of Westchester County. Very hilly, very hilly. It's been said that San Francisco and Yonkers are like the 2 hilliest cities in the nation. I don't know how true that is, I've heard them say that. So I grew up in Yonkers, and it was nice. Lived about 4 different neighborhoods between going in, enrolling into kindergarten, and then when the time I left to go to college up in Rockland. Seen a lot of shit, man. My mom's been through a lot of shit. Getting mixed up with this guy was a drunk, this guy was a convict, and the crazy thing about growing up in a broken family is that you kind of meet these guys that kind of come and go, and they take shit from the family, but they also give shit too, whether it's like hard lessons that you just never ever forget, right? And also they give things like, I don't know, babies, so our family grew over the years. I have like 5, I actually want to, like 4 half siblings, and our family has grown tighter because of that too, because it's like we're very protective. We understand that, look, in this life, we protect us. That's how it is. We protect us. There is no fighting over dumb shit in my house. My mom put us into all of that, bro. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for the fact that I grew up in a lot of like religious settings and for extended family holding us together, and that for, even though I can't speak for the rest of us, that I did have my father, and and that I could go to be around his family and feel safe. So I think, for what it's worth, every advantage to kind of transition from high school into college and kind of launch. But that hasn't happened quite yet, because life happens, there's just a bunch of shit, right? This past decade, been kind of hard. I kind of leave my hometown like this happy-go-lucky kid, and all of a sudden I'm like at this college, and I'm like, yeah, I got this, but I really don't have it, because then I discover, oh shit, I have like these undiagnosed mental conditions that run through my family on my mother's side, and it takes me out. But I can't just quit college because I'm attached to this like financial aid package that's like 95% of the way through. I spent like close to a decade trying to finish that undergraduate degree, and I still wound up dropping out, and it's disappointing and hurt. So then you kind of are like in your mid-20s, and you're just struggling to make it out of bed in the morning and to stay connected to your family. But I didn't handle my depression spells well. I kind of hid away, and I said to myself, you know what? I got this, I'll take care of it, I'll rally. And I never did. So you just kind of stay in bed and hide away, even when you have a job. Nowadays, I stay with family members. I stay in my grandparents' basement, still to this day. And I'm proud of that, right? I own my shit, bro. But it's taken me a while to even get to this place, because it's not just enough that you experience a depression spell, and then you come out of it and you say, okay, I'm never doing that shit again. Then you go back into it, and it's like, what? How the fuck am I back here? And it drags on for 8 months or so. And you're like, damn, I said I would never do this shit again. But then you get out, and it's like, cool, all right, boom. I'm making money, I'm doing what I have to do. and then you slow back into it. And so you have a situation where 25 becomes 26, becomes 27. You're not really fucking no girls. You're not really traveling as much as you want to. Your life gets ahead of you, you know, and everyone else is flourishing. You're not really making or connecting with the friends that you have or making as many new friends. You miss out on a lot of shit. So, I mean, it's taking me a minute. I'm this close to 30, and I'm like, okay, all that depression, back and forth bullshit, this shit doesn't need to drag out, Christian. It doesn't need to drag out, you know? It can, I'm really fucked up in the head. But, hey, you know what? You take life for what it is and you just roll with it. I mean, you fucking roll with it. Today happens to be the 19th anniversary of 9/11. And on this day, as well as any other day, you have to remember, life is fucking short, dude. Life is too fucking short, you know? And in an environment like New York City where it's really competitive and everyone is like driven to either make dreams or meet rent, but everyone is driven. And sometimes we get really, I fucking love being a New Yorker. I will die in New York City. I love it. I love it so. Even as a native New Yorker, I take so much of it for granted. But what I'm trying to say is, you know, life is really, really short. And you just gotta have to hold it together, you know, learn to be your own fucking best friend. It starts up here, right? It starts up here. I do something that's very weird. The thing that kind of helps me manage my depression more than medication, although there are times where I'm like, you know what, maybe I should actually take these antidepressant meds. When around the time when shit hits the fan in life and I don't feel too hot. There are some times when I just come out that shit where I feel like amazing and I feel like my old self. What I do is I go onto social media, I go onto my personal Facebook page, and I literally write down everything I'm doing, and I time myself because it's not just depression, it's like ADHD, it's anxiety, and so like I time myself and I write down different conversations and just different thoughts just to get them out of my head so that I can think clearly enough to do what I have to do to function and to be more engaged socially instead of withdrawn. And I'm really excited about life. And I'm like, within the past 5 years, I've become an uncle. One of my sisters, I mean, I have a niece that's 5, but she's out of state, so I hardly ever got to see her. But within it was gonna be nearly 2 years, I have like a little nephew that takes after my sister, and I'm just really excited about life and for this back and forth, this whatever that demon is, just controlling that thing and just doing what I have to do to stay balanced. Getting out the house in the morning, taking runs. I like bike riding. Learning that it's okay to be 30 or whatever. You never stop learning about yourself, right? You never stop learning about yourself. And I figured it out. I grew up very religious. Turns out maybe religion doesn't work for me, you know? So I've kind of like done away with God, and I speak very frankly to myself. And when it comes to like fears and insecurities, I try to. And just learn to be my own best friend and try to just normalize just how weird I am, because I'm one of the weirdest guys a lot of people don't meet. But I also hope that with that journey, right, also learning to help other people accept that, you know what, it's okay to be a little eccentric, a little odd. On becoming less judgmental than maybe I was back in my religious days. And yeah, just growth, man. Just growth. Just growth. Just trying to hold it together.